Today on the spot, Aaron Sampson lets us know what's new this week on PlayStation Network. We get a special 3DS visit with interviews for Ridge Racer and Super Street Fighter 4. We get a glimpse of what the world would be like with no football. And we have a bunch of Dark Spore beta keys to give away. Today on the spot.
Welcome everybody to Today on the Spot. It's our special weekend episode that we do every Saturday. I'm your host, Chris Waters. Joining me is Sean McInnes. Sean, it's February 5th, and how do you feel ever since General Mills started taking over the naming of our months?
February, it could be better, but you know what? The best part about this month is, actually, Super Bowl is tomorrow.
That's right. Super Bowl is tomorrow here in America. That's a big deal. Football is our national sport of dudes mashing each other's head against other dudes' heads.
Yep.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers are up against the Green Bay Packers in what should prove to be an interesting game. And when I say prove to be, I mean I'm desperately hoping it will be interesting, because otherwise I get kind of depressed. But before we go more into the Super Bowl, we're saving that later in the show, as well as a bunch of interviews for 3DS Business. We're going to start off with the GameSpot news desk, who's got the latest headlines for you.
Hey everyone, it's your GameSpot news update for Saturday, February 5th. I'm Tor Thorson. Shooter fans rejoice, or at least celebrate a little. That's because Battlefield 3 will be released for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC during fall 2011. DICE also shared some new information on the shooter, saying that Battlefield 3 will support a single-player campaign and an online component, which can be played for up to 64 players. On the PC, anyway. Also, Battlefield 3 will support co-op play for its campaign and let gamers pilot jets and go prone. Additionally, Battlefield 3 will run on DICE's updated Frostbite 2 engine. The original Frostbite engine debuted in 2008's Battlefield Bad Company and was used in Battlefield 1943, Medal of Honor, Battlefield Bad Company 2, and its Vietnam expansion. In other news, the Ridge Racer franchise is about to get a jump start. Namco Bandai today announced that Ridge Racer Unbounded, a new installment in the series for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC that will take the series in a whole new direction, according to the publisher. Namco Bandai's Racer hasn't appeared on console since 2006's Ridge Racer 7. With the stated goal of shaking up the entire racing genre, Unbounded will take the circuit racing franchise onto city streets, with a new emphasis on havoc and destruction. To help accomplish that objective, Namco Bandai has enlisted Bugbear Entertainment to help develop the game. Bugbear's previous work includes the flat-out series of Demolition Derby racers for Empire Interactive, which feature minigames requiring the player to crash such that the car's driver would be ejected through the front windshield into targets, such as a set of giant bowling pins. The studio also developed the PSP edition of Sega Rally Revo in 2007. Well, that's it, your GameSpot news update for Saturday, February 5th. For more headlines, head on over to news.gamespot.com.
Among the innovations this week on PSN, a jump button. Which game is that in? Stay tuned to find out.
This week on PlayStation Network, in downloadable games, get your stab on with the Assassin's Creed 2 Deluxe Edition. Step into the boots of Ezio in the 15th century and team up with Leonardo da Vinci to take on Italy's most powerful families. Included are the full game and all current DLC. Then combine cave exploration with puzzle solving in the Undergarden. Explore large underground caverns, encounter mysterious creatures, and solve mind-bending brain teasers through 20 subterranean levels. Then gear up for Bionic Commando Rearm 2. Equipped with his famous bionic arm, Nathan Rad Spencer swings back into action in order to stop an evil general from launching a deadly missile strike. Swing, leap, and shoot your way through lush new environments as you encounter countless enemies and huge bosses. Then build up an appetite for Tales from Space About a Blob. Tales from Space About a Blob is a side-scrolling puzzle platformer about a race of insatiable alien blobs. Absorb delicious humans, farm animals, and eventually the world. In game demos, get your gloves on for the Fight Night Champions demo. Learn the all-new full-spectrum punch control mechanics that include button controls, and step into the ring to do battle with boxing legends Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, and current-day stars Manny Pacquiao and Miguel Cotto. Also included are previews for Fight Night Champion. Afterwards, keep the demos rolling with the Trinity Souls of Zillow Lee demo. In this demo, players will get to take on quests from the Adventure Guild and do battle through the Cave of White Sands. In-game add-ons, some highlights include the iPet Butterfly Pack, a ton of content for Monopoly Streets, Sims 3 packs, and the Clash's London Calling album for Rock Band 3. In game trailers, don't miss the Mass Effect 2 launch trailer, Back to the Future Behind the Scenes Part 3 Dev Diary, Killzone 3 Justice trailer, and Infamous 2 Rising Sun video. That's all the time we have, folks. Join us next week for more This Week on PlayStation Network.
Now we've got our first of 2 looks at upcoming 3DS games with an interview for Ridge Racer 3D.
Hey everyone, Sophia here at Namco's Ignite event in San Francisco. I'm joined by Yamazaki-san, who's the director on Ridge Racer 3D. Welcome.
Hello.
So tell us about Ridge Racer 3D.
Ridge Racer, as you all know, has a long history, and it's known for its high-speed drift racing experience. And this is our first time to bring this to the users in 3D. Playing this type of racing game in 3D allows you to enjoy the race in total immersion. It's natural and direct. You can almost feel the air as you race through the corners and pass through other cars. You can feel as if you're actually racing in this environment rather than seeing this simulated 3D environment through a 2D image.
So for people who are already familiar with the game, what can they expect that's familiar and what's different?
The familiar Ridge Racer racing feeling is back with this Ridge Racer 3D. Environments, the cars, the controls, along with some new elements. Also brought in from Ridge Racer 7, it's a triple drift feature, and now you can experience all that in 3D.
So since this is part of a long-running series, what kind of content? Are there familiar tracks, the same cars, or what else has been added that's kind of new?
In terms of courses, we've focused on bringing something entirely new to the gamers. We've introduced new courses that resembles some of the familiar US locations. And in terms of cars, we've seen in the recent titles in the series, we've focused more on the European-style racing cars, but we have brought back some of the more American-looking muscle cars to Ridge Racer 3D.
Could you give us some of the examples of what kind of cars we'll be seeing?
We are introducing 4 new cars to Ridge Racer 3D. The first one is a modern style American racing car, aggressive styling, but something that you are familiar coming out from American manufacturers. The second car is more of an old style racing car, which you might have seen in the 70s or 80s in the movies and stuff. Third one is the lowrider. It's like a long and low racing car. The fourth one is kind of a traditional racing car that has been featured in R4, one of the Ridge Racer titles in the past, but we have redesigned it to make it more appealing for the users nowadays.
And so what are some of the multiplayer features of the game?
In addition to local play, we have a few new multiplayer elements that is being introduced into this game. One is a racer icon, which is basically an image that is shown above the cars in a multiplayer race. For this, in addition to emblems or images that you can choose from, you can actually take photos using the 3DS camera and basically make faces like taunting faces, funny faces. It allows you to kind of add an element of fun and excitement in the multiplayer races because you can now actually see who you're passing, who just totally owned you. It really adds the element of fun to multiplayer games. And the second one is the Street Pass Duel. And as the name suggests, it utilizes the Street Pass function of the 3DS. What it does is allows you to exchange data with your friends and compete with them. Even if you are not there at the same time, same place, it exchanges the ghost data and allows you to compete with them at your own convenience and see who's better at a certain course.
So what was it like developing for the 3DS, and what do you think the 3D adds to this type of game?
Now, since the game is in full 3D, the most difficult thing that we've encountered is that we couldn't fake things in 2D. For example, all the cars are in 3D, not just your car, but all the competing cars. We could have faked something like a shadow on a car in the past, but now we cannot do that. We could have like cars in a far distance. In the past, we could just display a 2D image, like a board. But this time for 3DS, we couldn't fake anything like that. So basically we need to create everything in 3D. So that was the most difficult part. We had to do that at the same time, trying to get the most out of the hardware. So that was very difficult.
I'm sure all these details will eventually pay off. Now, we know it's on the 3DS, so when is the game coming out?
Ridge Racer 3D will be available for you this spring.
Thank you very much for your time. And that was our look at Ridge Racer 3D. Now be sure to check back on GameSpot.com for more coverage.
All right, now that we've seen that first 3DS game, it's time to take a look at the second 3DS game. Chris, Tell the people what they've won.
Super Street Fighter 4. We had one of the creators, Ono-san, in to the office to talk about the Street Pass functionality and how that game is all online and social and wireless and whatnot. If you want to know more, here's the interview.
So I'll start with talking about how development got started to begin with. Basically, the Nintendo 3DS was first revealed to me personally just a few weeks before E3. I'd heard some rumors, of course, we knew they were up to something, but not until that point did I get to actually see it and hold it in my hands. At that moment, that was right when we had finished up Super Street Fighter 4, the version that's already out there. Just starting to relax after that, and then I got my hands on a 3DS, and it dawned on me that this hardware is so powerful that it really could do a good job of replicating the feel, the experience that you get from playing Street Fighter 4 on other hardware, and it would give more people a chance to experience the kind of cool fighting action that this game can provide. So basically, after I first got to look at the 3DS, we assembled a very small team to begin experimenting and see if they could write some really simple code and get something up and running. It became very clear to us early on that we were going to be able to do some really cool things with this hardware. So I went and talked to Nintendo about it, told them we were interested in doing Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. They were really excited about it. They basically asked us to have a playable at E3, which given the timing wasn't really possible. We were able to throw together some screenshots and get some things ready. And we then spent the intervening months after that in close collaboration with Nintendo, figuring out new ways to get people interested in Street Fighter, new ways to bring back users that perhaps used to play Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, new interesting things we could do with this particular version of the game. So that's how things have been progressing since that point. So I spoke a little bit earlier about the driving philosophy, and this goes back to Street Fighter 4 itself as well, of trying to bring back people who used to enjoy Street Fighter 2, trying to welcome them back into the fray, so to speak. I think there's still plenty of people that kind of missed the boat on 4 and Super 4 and still haven't jumped in yet. Perhaps they're worried that the controls are too complicated. Perhaps it seems like things have progressed so much since they used to play that it's kind of a difficult world to get back into. So a lot of the new modes we're doing with this game are kind of an effort to once again kind of level the playing field, open the door even wider, get more people interested. We have what we're calling Street Pass, which allows you to have the 3DS closed in your pocket, in your bag, go out to the mall, do some shopping. While you're doing that, the game will actually sort of fight for you, so to speak. You have these figures that you win, and they will actually fight each other. We thought that'd be a nice kind of gateway into online battle modes, because if you're, if this can happen kind of automatically, get you into it, you get these figures you collect, you can customize them, you can adjust their parameters, their strength, etc., customize the way they look, and then they kind of go on and fight for you. We figured if we could hook people that way, that might sort of lower the barrier of entry, lower the hurdle for people who might now suddenly be a little interested in fighting online, even if they were perhaps timid about it before. So it's all, everything that drives these new modes is all about getting people to try modes they might not otherwise try through kind of different gateways. So basically, these new features of the 3DS, these really cool Wi-Fi features, allow us to experiment with these new kinds of modes. And once again, I'm hoping that people will sort of get interested in the concept of fighting other people, even if they hadn't been before, just because it's kind of a new way to experience it, a new way, to experience, these characters kind of fighting on your behalf against other people, that sort of thing. There's two real aims for this. One, I hope that more and more 3DS games will begin to utilize this sort of feature, because it is a really cool feature that the hardware has. And also, I hope it'll get people more interested in fighting games who may have presumed they were not into fighting games before. Hopefully, this will sort of awaken their inner fighter, so to speak. Yeah, so with the new over-the-shoulder 3D camera angle, basically we're looking at this as providing multiple entryways into the same final destination. And what I mean by that is, you raise a good point. Characters like Chun-Li, grappling characters like Zangief, Abel, etc. They don't work as well. I'm really completely upfront and honest with that. They don't work as well in that 3D angle because it's harder to gauge distances. What I'm hoping people will do is kind of naturally find which angle they like depending on which character they play as. If you're an Abel player, if you're a Zangief player, please do use a traditional 2D camera. You'll thank me for it later. If you're using a character that's easier to get accustomed to and has a lot of projectiles, someone like Ken or Ryu, feel free to experiment with that new 3D angle. We think it just gives people who, once again, might not be as interested in fighting games something new to try, kind of a more dynamic camera angle. They're more than welcome to experiment with that. There's certainly no requirement to try that out. Certainly with some characters, I'd recommend that you not. The good news is that when you play online with other people with the Wi-Fi features, it's perfectly okay for one player to have the 2D angle and one player who might prefer the 3D angle to use that as well. So there's no rule that if someone else is using that angle, you're obligated to do the same. So this game is, of course, for the 3DS. We're looking to have it in stores as close as possible to launch. We're going to get it out very early in the launch window, do our best to do that. So it won't be long before you can experience true arcade fighting in the palm of your hand, anywhere, anytime, play against anyone else all around the world. It is truly a new experience, and I hope you look forward to it.
Now, as we all know, Sean, Saturday Tots is what we call event viewing, where
prime time. It's
people
prime
host
tots.
things to, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Also a big deal this weekend, the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 45 in Dallas, Texas. It's going down, but the NFL, it's not all like ship-shape and rosy on the horizon.
No, they're having a collective bargaining agreement,
Yeah.
strife issues, and they might not be playing next season. Who knows?
Long story short, a lot of football players could be out of a job come next season. What would they do? What would all those large, muscular individuals who like to smash into each other do professionally if they didn't have the NFL?
Well, Chris, I think they would fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special CBS Sports presentation of the Ultimate Football Championship 46. I'm your host, Chris Waters, joined by Sean McInnes in the booth here. Sean, it's going to be a great fight tonight. What are you expecting to see?
I am expecting a barn burner, Chris. We have an epic matchup between Aaron Rodgers and Big Ben Roethlisberger, a man so big they named a clock after him in England. It's called the Roethlisberger clock. It's up in Newcastle. Chris?
Boy, who would have thought the collapse of the NFL last season would lead us to this point? Such a glut of talent flooding into the UFC and brings us to this night. These two big competitors ready to throw down ringside. Sean, any final remarks before we take it to the ring?
I'm excited, Chris. You know what? All those years they had of real football with all the rules and teams and kickers and punters, I could not be more bored with that. I just like the fighting. And that's what we're going to see today in its purest form.
So without further ado, let's go to the ring and meet our two competitors. Here's your first look at our two contenders tonight, Big Ben versus Aaron Rodgers in the heavyweight bout.
This is going to be a great matchup, Chris. As you can tell, they are very close in size, very close in heart. However, Big Ben, obviously a much hairier man.
Aaron Rodgers getting pumped up in the octagon here. No stranger to having to prove himself. After riding the bench for 3 seasons behind Brett Favre, Rodgers is hoping that this year is going to be his year to come out and make a name for himself.
That's right. Rodgers, who went to Cal University, which I can only assume is short for Calcutta University. I don't entirely know if that's accurate. Big Ben, however, went to Miami University, which is in Ohio, which is a state.
That last part is true. Big Ben's move to Philadelphia after the Steelers went belly up has certainly increased the size of his belly, but don't mistake that bulk for lack of strength, folks. That man is nimble, he's got reach, and he can pack a punch.
And he is incredibly hairy, specifically in the back region. But does that give him strength in the ring? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out.
Are you ready to fight?
All right, obviously we've got Ben in the yellow trunks, Rodgers in the green trunks wearing their old football team colors.
Big Ben coming out, testing his range early on, landing some punches on Rodgers, letting him know he's there.
And we've got him in a bear hug. A Big Ben bear hug takes him down to the ground.
The two fighters grappling through various stages of mount.
I don't know what this is called, but it is awkward and a little hot.
Roethlisberger trying to work the submission, but Rodgers says no. Gets him back on his feet. And a big left hook to the jaw. Now, as we know, Roethlisberger, no stranger to facial trauma. Ooh, Big Ben landing a big right hook. And Rodgers countering with a left of his own. They're trading punches, making sure each other knows that they're there, knows that they mean business.
That's right, we got a whole bunch of big crosses going on here. Punches and bunches, they call it. And now Ben takes Rodgers down to the ground, going for a little grapple. Not quite working, so he's going to kick him in the thigh for a bit. Really tenderize the leg region.
Ooh, that big reach on Big Ben, landing big hits on Rodgers' jaw.
You gotta wonder how much of a weight disadvantage Rodgers is at not being 970 pounds.
And that knockdown punch makes you wonder how Ben's feeling when he hits the ground hard.
Oh no, could this be it? Ben is phased. Rogers going in for the
it looks
finish.
like a brutal knockout.
Overkill. He is tenderizing his face muscles into a pulp. And I think that's a win for Aaron Rodgers.
We're going to call it here, folks. Aaron Rodgers, the victor of the Ultimate Football Championship 46. He's pointing to his hand as if to mock Big Ben's Super Bowl rings, saying he didn't need any rings to land that knockout blow.
No, he certainly did not, and now he gets his first ring, which is actually going to be made from several teeth from Ben Roethlisberger, which is a new tradition in the Ultimate Football Championship. A little bit of a scandal involved there, but in the end, they went with the teeth ring. Oh my gosh, just a gruesome replay there. Oh, it's as if he's on the ground saying, "Please, sir, I don't want any more."
But instead of words, all that comes out is blood.
All that comes out is blood and a series of guttural moans. Let's make this official. I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, considering the facial trauma thing that we just
Really
saw.
going out on a limb there, huh, Sean?
All right, let's see.
A TKO in the first round. What a way for this young quarterback to come out and prove himself against the only slightly older but certainly more experienced Big Ben.
Oh my God, you just got to feel so good for this kid right here. Spent all those years backing up Brett Favre on the bench, and now here he is, the victor.
Wow, who could have predicted that fight between two fierce, evenly matched opponents would end so abruptly in the first round with that big TKO, Aaron Rodgers landing the right elbow. Sean, what's your reaction here?
Oh my gosh, not only did he land that giant Rodgers elbow, he also followed it up with about 9 or 10 fist punches to the face. And as you know, and as I know, the fist punch is the worst kind of punch to get because it's just really hard and it hurts a lot.
True enough, Sean, and there were no yellow flags to throw. This is the Ultimate Football Championship, folks. Thank you for joining us here. For CBS Sports, Sean McGinnis, I'm Chris Waters. Be sure to join us in the coming months as we exploit the new MLB Ultimate Fighting League now that the pitchers and catchers are reporting for punching instead of pitching.
That one's got baseball bats.
Now, folks, it's on to trivia. If you were watching Thursday Tots, you know that we kind of didn't really do trivia, but we've got trivia today, and we've got a lot of it. We're giving away 100 beta keys for Dark Spore, new action-adventure game coming up from EA and Maxis at the end of March. If you want to get in on this early, PC players, you're going to get a beta key if you can answer this question correctly.
That's right, Chris, and here is the trivia question. Guys, name 2 of the 5 DNA types that you can have in Dark Spore. If you think you know the answer, send us an email to onthespot@gamespot.com or use that little, tiny, cute, green, adorable answer trivia button on the page right here.
And with that, we come to the end of our show, or at least the end where I now cram in a whole bunch of references to cool GameSpot stuff before we actually close. Now, Sean, have you got out your phone? What? Why? What are you doing?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just being like the coolest dude ever by reading GameSpot on Twitter. If you follow us on Twitter, you can get the latest news, reviews, previews, updates, all that good stuff right fresh and direct to your Twitter feed. It's twitter.com/GameSpot. Guys, make sure you follow it and you can be as cool as I am.
And if you didn't need that hammy promo and are already following us, you probably know round 2 of our Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament went up yesterday. A lot of good fighting action in there. You don't want to miss it, folks. Check it out. Now, for everyone here in the GameSpot studios, I'm Chris Waters.
And I'm Sean McGinnis.
Saying have a great weekend, happy Super Bowl, and we'll see you next week.
I have a phone call. Oh, hi. Sorry, Chris's mom. I can't talk right now. And that brings us to the end of the show. Chris, tell me about social media.
Sean, social media is a phenomenon on the internet where you can interact with your friends and countrymen. Line.
Twitter.
Yeah.